Hello, class. Uh, my name is Joshua Boyle, and this is my Forge experience. Um, I actually did the Boston Consulting Group digital venture. Um, the Consulting Group does digital technology centered work, and I felt that would be best based upon my career path as I want to become a data analyst. So it aligns pretty closely with my future plans. With the world becoming increasingly software driven, there's great value in learning how it's developed and how it's launched. So before we go too far, I think it's important to know a little bit about the Boston Consulting Group, as I wasn't too familiar with them. But here's just a quick overview of what the company has going on. They were founded in 1963 by Bruce Henderson, and they pioneered strategy consulting. Boston Consulting Group is a global consulting firm that partners with leaders in business and society to tackle their most important challenges and capture their greatest opportunities. Their success depends on a spirit of deep collaboration and global community of diverse individuals determined to make the world and each other better every day. As we can see, they have offices in over 100 countries, or over 100 offices in 50 countries. As I mentioned earlier, they are founded by Bruce Henderson, and they have over 25,000 employees. So it's a pretty large group they have there. Um, so we'll just dive right into kind of their philosophy and what they were trying to get across with this digital venture. Um, so the Boston Consulting Group, the digital venture, um, it's based around inventing, launching, and scaling game-changing businesses in partnership with the world's most important corporations. So no matter what it is, they typically have a sector of their business that will venture into that. So going on um, beyond the traditional scope of consulting, they operate on the shoreline between pioneering and visionary tech, which allows them to capitalize on transformative opportunities and help clients disrupt the market and themselves. They work closely with their clients, employing a proven success of rapid iteration that gets us from idea to impact in less than 12 months. By leveraging their untapped strategic assets to create new revenue streams and sources of competitive advantage. That kind of aligns with what we learned in our class with, different ways of developing technologies, developing new strategies to get it out there. What I would say the most I took from this program, it gave me an opportunity to understand and help solve real world problems and build innovative companies around my solutions. Initially seemed kind of overwhelming. I'm creative, but I felt like there's no way I can figure this out. But they gave some great examples, which I'll share to help push you in the right direction. So I really appreciated that. The curriculum was centered around different types of problems in order to learn multiple disciplines and ways of thinking to overcome obstacles. So they have the 5 ways of thinking. So typically, when designing and launching a new venture, they collaborate across these 5: the strategic design, the experience design, the product management, the venture architecture, and the growth architecture. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. The strategic design, identify small business customers frictions and come up with new business idea. So experience design, basically we're mapping the customer journey, developing personas, and identifying features to solve human needs. In this task, I was led by a gentleman named Victor, and Victor was a strategic designer for BCG Ventures. The scenario started with me being a strategic designer for a venture team, and it was my role to identify key customer frictions, unmet needs, and opportunities within industries, using valuable insights to come up with new and innovative ways to solve some of the described problems. To find these insights, I was given interviews with customers in order to help me find customers' friction. Identifying the problem is a big part of the lesson. Customer friction should be, they want them to be punchy. They use this term a lot. Punchy insights with a quote or stat to back up each one of their frictions to help me provide a wider project team to quickly and easily understand the core problem for my new app or my business idea. Like, what is it going to solve? So why also, along with that, if we're going to create something, why is it worth investigating farther? I then look for social and technological trends that could help give me a better understanding of the issues, and then I tried to figure out how to solve it. Lastly, I came up with a CVP, or a customer value proposition, that capitalized on the frictions and the trends. The goal was to come up with solutions that were found, and I presented them at the level that was easy for all to understand. So I pulled this off of their site here. Shows you exactly kind of where they show you how to improve your work. I like that they highlight certain things such as frictions, because it's a term that I've heard but not super familiar with, and it highlights it as plain as day, and it tells you what it should do. It should be kept short and sharp and point directly towards the solution being proposed. Quotes should extend on the pain points and make them real for a particular customer or customer groups. So that's what we try to do. That's what I put together. And then that was my lesson with that, with the first strategic design. So moving forward, the next one we went into was experience design. Experience design is the mapping the customer journey, developing personas, and identifying features to solve human needs. Um, so that can be pretty diverse, but we broke it down one of three steps. We look for the customer personas. We've made a customer journey map, and then we did the experience and feature map. Um, I did a little highlight over there. Some of the things we, really touched on were assistance design, journey mapping, and ideation. Um, but I was led by another. They give you, at every task, they give you an expert, typically from the Boston Consulting Group, but they also they're involved with different ventures as well. I was led by Carmen Kaufman, who's a lead experience designer for BCG Ventures. She is also the GM of Variety, who is in healthcare. So this task was centered around customers with diabetes. My role as an expert designer is to empathize with the customers, identify their habits, desires, and needs to make a product tangible. My team was in charge of developing a mobile platform that would be used at home by patients and to their carers as well, not just the patients with the type 2 diabetes management. So diabetes is a disease that really affects a lot of people. So this was relatively easy for me to grasp and take to. So what I did first, I identified 2 diabetes patients and personas, and 2 care personas that could be used to help the team better understand who they were designing it for. Um, I go ahead and put these up here so we can see kind of what we were really dealing with. They give you little scenarios to run through. Secondly, I mapped the customer journeys for these 2 types of people and the patient in their care. The journey map showed the stage, the touch points, and the pain points for diagnosis through gathering information, and the tools used for treatment and management. Finally, I outlined an mobile or optimal mobile app experience that would make it best for not just the patient but also the care, helping address needs of patients step by step. What's nice is I was given transcripts to facilitate the gathering of customer personas. I then created used the customer personas and created a customer map to capture the stages for all their care. I then created the final presentation, submitted it, and that was the final project for this portion of my venture. The next task was product management. It was actually led by a woman named Ann Schmidt. She is a DV product manager and interim head of product for the Telescope venture. Acting as the product manager for this task, I was in charge of a roadmap. Um, so as we can see, I highlighted there some of the things we really wanted to hit on, which were digital road mapping, feature creation, strategic rationale, systems thinking. So I was tasked with working with engineers to find the technical possibilities, opportunities, and showstoppers, and to see what was impossible as well. So what's kind of out there, what's too far out there, what's tangible, what's not. I was left with being the final decision maker. So consulting with my team, seeing what's realistic and what's achievable, and then what's too far-fetched. Additionally, the task required working with the business team, not just the engineer team. So it can make sure you're building something valuable, not just desirable. The company wanted me to define how to build and how to roll out new personalization tool for their corporate partner, Big Shop. I worked to identify the technical features that required me to build the product and how the solution would work. I first had to identify the customer and retailer technical issues that would be needed to create the product and experience. The roadmap for this project was split between the customer focused and the retailer focused, so it was important to consider both when trying to implement new ideas. So this is the example they gave. It shows you the solution from kind of start to finish. So just a nice layout of how everything should roll, um, working with their partner Big Shop and its retailers. So once again, just when I put this stuff together, it was not exactly as maybe their examples, which is why they give you the examples to learn from. And then you have a way better understanding once you've completed it your way. You can see how they do it their way. So up next, up next was the venture architecture, and this task was led by Cindy Tam, who is a venture architect director at BCG Digital Ventures and the general manager of the Rent Lord Venture. This scenario starts with you being halfway through a 12-week innovation sprint, and their partner has asked that we identify several potential startup concepts that they can take into market, working with a small, multidisciplinary team on a concept called Rent Lord, in order to understand whether the concept is viable. So some of the things we're going to be looking at for this one was market sizing, a competitive landscape, and then how it works. So one of the things I liked is I learned some things about business model analysis. Like I said, my future plans are to become a data analyst. There's some overlap there with that. And then some of the things we talked about in class, different things we could utilize, strategies and all that. So Rent Lord is a platform that offers a suite of property management services to reduce or remove the reliance on traditional property managers. Um, as you can see from this, we came up with kind of a roadmap to how to get from A to B. So we talk about developing an app maybe for smart payments and administration, streamlined requests for management, and intelligent listing. So I conducted a market assessment initially on Rent Lord based on the information they gave me. Um, it included sizing the opportunity, understanding the competitive landscape for such a solution. Now, this was done in Australia, so that's to be noted as well, and explaining how the business model would work. I used publicly available information and justifiable assumptions to calculate the total market, addressable market, and share of market for Rent Lord. I then had to describe how it would work in practice. It was important to me to briefly indicate the presentation would be split into two parts. The first part was um, during the setup of a property, and then the second was how the app works for ongoing management. So, like I said, these are just I'd like to show one snippet of the presentation to show kind of where it was headed. My final task, the fifth task, um, is growth architecture. Once again, we're back working with Rent Lord. Kind of on a different venture this time, but similar to the last one, we are halfway through a 12-week innovation sprint where a corporate partner asked us to identify several potential starter concepts that they could take to market. This time, unlike last, they wanted us to help our commercial team understand more about the competitive landscape, define a high-level go-to-market strategy, and produce ads slash creative content for validation for a campaign. So in order to do this, we needed intelligence on the competitors. That's something that kind of caught my attention. I like knowing about what's out there. What do we need to do to be competitive in any industry? We had to then use our intelligence to define a high-level go-to-market strategy. And then finally, we selected a proposition and created a Facebook ad to test our hypothesis. So here's some of the intelligence that was out there. just you don't know where you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you're at. I think that's really important to be taken from here. So that's what I did. And then once again, this was it. So all these different tasks, from strategic design to experience design, um, product management, venture architecture, they're all crucial disciplines. And like I said, we got to use real life examples, having some of, guided by experts in every field. And then once I was completed, I was given a certificate, which I will put on my LinkedIn, um, into my Canvas profile. And then it actually highlights some of the things down below of exactly what was done. So I think it was a success, and I really enjoyed working on it. So I wish you all the best.